Hey, y'all, and welcome back to the Winning Wednesday podcast. I am your host, Geneva Brown, and today's episode is called Order. There is an exact order for everything in our lives. When you define or look up the word order, you will find a couple of things about the word order. You will find that in the noun form of the word order, it means an arrangement or disposition of people or things in a relation to each other according to a particular sequence, pattern, or method. Also, in the noun form, it's an authoritative command, a direction or instruction. But in the verb form of the word noun, it is to give an authoritative direction or instruction to actually do something, or a request, meaning something to be made, supplied, or served. So then when you think about that, everything we do has an order or a sequence of events that must be accomplished to gain a desired result. So, for example, there is a order or pattern or sequence of the way that we matriculate through the school system. We start out with Head Start, pre-K, elementary, middle, high school, then you go on to college, and then even there is a certain order or way that you can obtain a higher order or of a degree. When you prepare a meal, there are certain things that you have to do first before you can do something else so that the meal will be prepared properly. So then, when you think of all of that, order is simply defined as the way something is done. And if you want it done right, then there is a specific order that you should follow, like instructions that are in a manual. You can guess your way through it, but it would be so much easier if you follow the instructions in order. The creation of the world was created in a detailed yet specific order or way where certain things were created before other things, which gives us the pattern that we model all of creation after. Anytime you want to create something, we follow a basic order that was set from the beginning of time in the book of Genesis. So I want us to just dive into that today and just look at that. I'm not going to read all of the different scriptures there, but I want you to begin to see the sequence and the order of how God created the world. So now let's look at these scriptures. In Genesis chapter number 1, it reads, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was an evening, and there was a morning, and the first day. And God said, 'Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters.' And God made the expanse and separated the waters that were under the expanse from the waters that were above the expanse. And so it was. And God called the expanse heaven. And there was an evening, and there was a morning, and the second day. And God said, 'Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear.' And so it was. God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered together he called the seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, 'Let the earth sprout vegetation and plants yielding seeds, and fruit trees bearing fruit, in which their seeds, each according to its kind on the earth.' And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seeds according to its kind, and trees bearing fruit, in which their seed according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was the evening and morning, and the third day. And God said, 'Let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be signs of the seasons and for days and years, and let them be lights in the expanse of the heavens to give the light upon the earth.' And so it was. And so God made two lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And God set them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, the fourth day. And God said, let the waters swarm with swarms of living creatures, and the birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the heavens. So God created the great sea creatures and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarm according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth. And there was evening and there was morning, the fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, livestock and creeping things, and beasts of the earth according to their kinds. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to their kind, and their livestock according to their kind, and everything that creeps on the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and the birds, and over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God blessed them, and God said, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish and of the sea, and over the birds of the heaven, and every living thing that moves on earth. And then God saw that everything that he made, and he beheld it, and he said it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, and there was the sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God finished his work that he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all the work that he had done. So God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it God rested from all of his work that he had done in creation. So God has given us here this foundation, this order that we are to build upon, creating things, and how certain things must be done first. When you dive deeply and you look at everything, you see that number one, the earth was without form. It had nothing. So there had to be a foundation that was set. And the first foundation that he set was to have the light in the earth, so that you can begin to separate day from night. And then he began to separate the water so that you can have the land and the water. And then after that, you begin to have the vegetation, the plants and trees. And then you begin to get the light, the sun, the moon, and the stars, which we know gives what we need for plants to thrive, the sunlight that we get. And then later on for man, we need that sunlight. We needed the the sky to be the way that it needed to be, so that we can one day get the rain, so that we can have the oxygen that we need. God was so strategic in placing things in the right order in which they needed to be done, so that we can then be created to have a beautiful life here on earth. So he set the stage for us to be successful, provided that we follow his order. So even though, sin entered into the world, that does not mean that God does not have a set order for us to follow. There's an order that God wants us to follow for our lives. That's why he created the world in a certain order. So this order is simply this: it is to ask, seek, and knock. I know you may be thinking, like, that has nothing to do with me or my life, the creation and how things were done. That sounds good. That sounds just like a story, but no, it's so much more than a story. It's showing you that God created a foundation on this earth to sustain not just us, but every living creature and thing on this earth. We all have a part in this earth. God made it so that we can all be successful, so that we can all thrive. There is an order for us to get success. See, we think of a certain way of how we want to be successful, especially when we think about the scenario that I mentioned earlier about the pattern and how we go to school. Yes, you go to elementary school and high school, and then you graduate, and then now you have this opportunity to go on to higher education. And that's where we think of whether someone will be successful or not. Because if you follow this order or go this way, you can be successful. But if you don't follow this order and go the opposite way, you're not successful. But God wants you to know that there is an order that He wants you to follow for your specific life so that you can be successful in your life, not by the management or the measurement of someone else, but by simply doing this so that you can get the information, so that you can get the instruction, so that you can get the direction from God, the creator of all things in heaven and in earth. And this order that God wants you to follow is to ask, seek, and knock. Just because you ask for something does not mean that you're looking for the answer. And just because you are looking for the answer does not mean that you want to find out what that answer is and for the door to be opened for you to follow it. Matthew chapter 7, verses 7 through 8 says, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks it will be open." If you do not know what order you should be doing something in, and it can be anything in your life, God has a specific way of you doing it. He has a way for parents to parent their children. He has a way for you to operate on the job that He has blessed you with. He has a way for you to do things in order in your finances. He has a way for you to do things in whatever positions that you may have within your community, if you're a leader, or even if you're just someone who is in support of some other organization. God has a way and an order for things to get done so that we can all be successful. Everything in creation works together for the success and benefit of everyone. So by you asking, by you seeking, and by you knocking, God will give you the order that you are asking for. So if you do not know what order you should be doing something in, then ask, seek, and knock. Or if you want to make sure that the order you are actually doing in things is right, if you're on the right path, then still ask, seek, and knock. Asking for directions or clarifying if you are doing something right, it can be difficult for us because we must surrender our understandings to someone who knows more than us about a certain situation or a circumstance. But who better to ask for direction than God? He is the creator of all things in heaven and in earth. So when you seek answers from God, He looks at your heart. He knows if you really want to hear what He has to say. He knows us well because He created us. So seek Him by setting aside your agenda and by being willing to hear and follow His agenda. Then knock. Knock like, when you're knocking, it's not like you're knocking when you want to go to a friend's house where you're not sure if he or she is there. You kind of just popped up and you don't know. That's not how we knock with God. When you're knocking with God, we can knock with confidence and reassurance. Why? Because we know God is always there. We don't have to question if God will be there. God is there. So you can knock with this reassurance in your heart that He will answer you. If this message has been a source of encouragement for you, would you consider sharing the Winning Wednesday podcast with others by clicking the share link? Remember, God sees, God knows, and God cares. That is the Winning Wednesday word, and I will see y'all in the next one.